Right, as I've already said, the type that's used in a parameterized type with a wildcard can itself be a parameterized type with a wildcard. So for instance, you might have a list of lists of some particular subtype, which you might write like this: list of something that extends, list of something that extends high, for instance. Now that's what I've got written down here. Now we've already given these things down here. I'll just written them a bit smaller so I can fit all this lot in. And you might ask, well, why have that initial wildcard there? Why not just say lists of something that extends high? And the answer to that is it is a bit restrictive, because if you think what you can assign to that, what the subtypes are going to be, it's limited, because you can't in fact get rid of that inner wildcard there. That's because you might think, for instance, that this could be a subtype, but it can't in fact, because you've got a list of some particular type here, and up the top here you'd have a list of that type, and those are two different types, and a list of one type and a list of another type are incompatible. It doesn't matter what the relationship between them is. To get subtyping and so on, you've got to have wildcards in there, and if you get rid of that initial wildcard, well, then you're stuck. Okay, so the only thing you could do is have vector of that, a vector of a list of something or other, or an array list of something, or a linked list of something, but you couldn't change this thing inside. Okay, so that's why we have that initial wildcard in there. It gives us a bit more scope. Right, so let's take a look at what sort of subtypes we can get. And I've had to cut this down, as you can see. No way it would fit, so I've only put part of it on here. Right, let's go out this way. What have we got? List of something that extends list of high. Well, list of high is clearly a subtype of this, as we've already seen. So it is obviously perfectly valid as well as a subtype. So we can certainly do that. And now if we've got a list of something that extends list of high, well, of course, list of high we can immediately replace with h of anything at all. So we put that in, so we've got an infinite number of types branching off from here. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. We've got list of something that extends list of something that extends high. We can start replacing the outer list there with G, and that's quite okay, because it's a subtype, and because G is a subtype, G of T is a subtype of list of T, we can, and we're interested in extends here, so we could replace that list there with a G as well. So again, we got a subtype like that. What about this? Down here we've got list of vector. This is similar to the G case, of course, list of vector, and it extends that like that, and because it extends that type, we could just keep that type by itself and have a list of vector. That's another alternative to doing this, and we can continue. This we could have vector of vector, and or less be it, or an array list of vector or something like that. Alright, let's take a look at this 101. We've got a list of something that extends list of something that extends high. So if we look at that inner thing there, one obvious subtype we go to is list of something that extends low, of course. And we can therefore write that in just like that. And ask, well, what else could we do? Well, this is a type. List of something that extends low is a type in the system, and we could just select out that individual type and say list of something that extends low, which is pretty much a sort of dead end. You can just only replace that outer list with something. Now if we look at this list of something that extends list of low, well, there we've just selected out something, individual element from this inner one, which of course is still going to be a subtype of that. So list of low, like that is perfectly valid. A number of directions we could go in. We could replace that list with G, of course, like that. I think there should be a space in there, and we could just select that element by itself to have list of low. With that G, of course, we could replace that with list of G of low in the same sort of fashion. We could also replace G, of course, a list there with another G, so we have G of low, and so on. As you can see, there's a vast amount more that you could do, but there's just not room to fit it on there. And that basically is a list of lists. Now going upwards, of course, a list of something that extends high. We could put object in there, of course, and that would look like that. And of course, instead of extending a list like that, you could just have a complete wildcard. So this, of course, sits at the top. You could also, if you wanted to, instead of saying list of something, you could have collection in there. List of something that extends collection could go in between as well. Well, in between, but over this way, and so on. It's again, there's just not enough room to put all the various types and subtypes on here.